So you foresee, or let's put it this way, for lack of a better word, you are in the more bullish camp, both on the GDP growth and the earnings growth for the indices. Never mind the fact that there is this scare of, uh, uh, you know, the commodity prices being higher, energy prices being higher. Though I do remember reading your presentation or listening to you, and your belief seems to be that energy prices also will come off. But what about the commodity complex hitting earnings badly?
Great question. So, see, you cannot grow without using dense forms of energy, right? So productivity means, so if you're cooking your food on firewood, it can take you 2 hours. If you do that on a cooking gas or electric stove, it takes half an hour, right? So, and that plays out for transportation, for materials, like, so if you make a unbaked brick house, it can wash away very quickly. The moment you bake a brick, like we are just still discovering Harappa bricks 5,000 years later, right? But you need energy for that, and we import 40-45% of our energy. So what happens when energy prices globally go up? It becomes a headwind to growth. So it's not just that we are now paying a lot more. So basically, see, if any commodity goes up, I mean, it's a gain for some. If it's the domestic supplier, someone benefits, someone loses, so it kind of evens out. But when you pay a lot more for imported energy, you are throwing money out. More importantly, if say fuel becomes so expensive that you do not want to travel from point A to point B because you say it's going to be too costly, so that slows you down. That slows the economy down. So that is a headwind to growth. And I think some of the November slowdown that a number of sectors have talked about was, I think, also triggered by that. Now, since then, of course, the government has tried to absorb at least half of that headwind. So our estimate is that the rise in crude oil, gas, coal, fertilizer, edible oil, all of this together added about $40-45 billion annualized to our import bill. And almost all of that got passed on to the consumer. That is a headwind to growth. Government's interventions, state and center together on fuel taxes, was about $20 billion. So half of that absorbed. And since then, of course, oil prices have come off, gas prices are coming off. So the question is, will this persist, right? Will we see $70 oil or $75 oil for all of the next 12 months? I'm definitely not in the $90, $100 camp because I don't think the global demand is strong enough. 6% of global oil consumption is for international air travel. And given what is happening on, forget the Omicron variant, even the Delta variant, I mean, there's so many countries that are still struggling with deaths per million being elevated because of the Delta variant, that total opening up, a complete complete easing of restrictions is something that may not happen. Look at even what's been announced in China, for example, right? So for the Chinese New Year, in Shanghai, large gatherings are discouraged. Now, compare that to India, where we are at least now starting to see even restrictions for marriages start to ease, right? Where, I mean, I've seen marriages where perhaps 100 were permitted or 300 were there.
Yeah.
The point is that, so therefore, I don't think the environment is right, at least on the demand side, for oil to see that kind of a surge. If oil goes there, then I think the global economy slows down even further because the ability to pay for that oil is not there. And therefore, I don't think that energy cost will become a permanent headwind for growth.
Supply side issues notwithstanding.
So supply side is definitely an issue. So meaning that, and this holds true for overall inflation as well, that, pre-lockdown, pre-COVID, demand and supply were here. I mean, somewhere, wobbling around. And then COVID brought them down here. Then stimulus brought demand here, and now you have to bring supply back, right? And in every sector, or let's say in every sector which was badly impacted by COVID restrictions, there is a marginal supplier who has not had business for 18 months. And that supplier is now being told you come back. And he says, well, at $70, I am not coming back. So because I'm unsure that, I'll come back and then suddenly prices tank again. So you need to give a higher price signal. But once the supply comes back, then prices normalize. This is what's happening in steel, for example. Of course, there's a demand issue in China too, but but the bullwhip effect is easing because supply and inventory levels went up. So I think the supply response is happening. You're seeing that in gas and oil. The question, of course, is that like US shale. I mean, is there enough of a because there are estimates that it could be 1.5 million barrels a day lower on a sustained basis. And so if demand was to go back to normal pre-COVID and then go up a bit from there, then we may not have enough supply. But it's also the ability to pay. See, the global end demand even today is very weak. So if prices go up that much, I mean, you see the US president, starting an investigation for collusion by energy companies to keep, which means that it's hurting, right? It is hurting the common man, and that itself is a natural cap on how much oil demand can be there. So I'm not, because I'm worried about global demand in general. I don't worry too much about global energy prices.